What's going on, guys? It's Mirwin. Today I'm going to show you how I made the beat for my song 2 Words. So if you guys haven't been watching the YouTube channel, we have a series Deconstructed, inspired by the series from Genius, where I show you guys how I made the beat for all the music I make. Today we're going to be doing my 3rd single from my upcoming album called Strangers in the Dark. This song is called 2 Words. If you guys haven't listened to this song already, definitely encourage you guys to check that out. We got a link in the description. Otherwise, we're just going to get straight into it. If you guys haven't watched any of the past Deconstructed for this album or the Dissect videos, I've talked a lot about how for this album I really wanted to be true to kind of hip-hop, and a lot of the artists that inspired me, you know, kind of do something that I think really honors the work that they've done, you know, with and kind of just take the inspiration they've given me and do my thing with it. So that being said, with this album, every single song has been made using samples cleared through TrackLib. TrackLib, definitely a great resource, great website. Definitely encourage you guys to check it out if you make music. So for this song, this is also the 3rd beat that I started for this album, Strangers in the Dark, but it's also the last beat that I finished. So this beat, you know, when we get the Dissect video for this, probably took the longest from start to completion, but this is the 3rd beat that I started for this album. One of the first couple beats I started. Ended up taking a while to finish though. But, so for this beat, this song that I ended up sampling is called Yesterday's Love. It's by this group called Aurora. I believe, if I remember their bio correctly, they're from Hawaii. They're kind of like a soul group. Again, older. I always like sampling older music, just kind of bringing fresh life into it. But I also like sampling newer music too. If it's fire, it's fire. But so this song, what I ended up doing for the sample, we got a lot of different sections, a lot of different things we did with it. So originally we were gonna pitch it up. Pitch it up a couple semitones as I was like messing around with it, and ended up just really liking how it was sitting with the original key, and just kind of, I also want to keep don't want to do the same thing on every song where it's like, oh, I'll just pitch it up or like pitch it down. So just kind of, you know, staying true to the original song, we kept it in the same key, kind of left it dry. All we really did as far as processing throughout the whole sample is EQ. If you listen to this song, you'll realize that there's also a beat change in the second half. We'll get to the sample when we attack that section. But for the first half here, there's a couple different sections here. I'll play maybe the first hook part and a little bit of the verse, and then I'll kind of just talk about the process. So that is the hook section. That's the part, I got my boy Bronson singing on there. I wrote that part, and originally I was going to do it, but I was like, hey, you got a way better voice than me. Let's just get you on this. He did it, killed it. So that's the hook section. You know, it's got those really groovy guitars. You know, it's got those like choir group vocals in the background. Really cool. And then we'll play a part of the verse section. I'll just talk about the different sections I ended up using. So yeah, you see kind of one of the things I love with this sample is the song has a ton of progression in it. I ended up not even using the ending of this song, but the ending of this song, if you look it up, is like insane. Like they go like, drums go nuts, everybody's like crazy. So this song has a ton of progression, which is really great for my music because that's something that I love a lot, where, you know, there's different beat changes and just, you know, the song is constantly evolving. So like I said, we got a bunch of different sections here. You know, so we got the verse where, you know, there's the vocals. I ended up taking, for the first verse, 2 different sections and kind of merging them together. There was something I liked about each different section, just kind of brought them together. They have the vocals in it. Then we'll talk about the breakdowns here. So out of the verse, we have the second 2 different samples here. It's just kind of the continuous part of the song, so I ended up using a decent chunk of the song for this one. But we have a breakdown with some horns. I thought the horn section was really, really cool. And it was also different than a lot of the other, you know, I hadn't really done a song with like the horn section in it before, so that was cool. Really reminded me of Surf, if you guys have listened to that project from Chance the Rapper, and the Social Experiment, I believe is the group name. Really reminded me of that, like Slip Slide or a song like that. And then we also have this breakdown out of the horn section where, you know, the bass like really get like nice slap bass going, and it's just, you know, really picks up the energy. So I really liked that, and those were the main section I used for verse 1 and the hook. We'll get into the drums here, and we'll talk about the second section. So for the drums for this one, My kind of philosophy as I was attacking this beat was really just to mirror and kind of maybe modernize the drums that were in the original song. So whenever there was a open hi-hat hit in the original sample, I put an open hi-hat hit with my sound and my one shot that I put in there. So that's really my approach with this one, was really just trying to, honor the sample and just really kind of, maybe just freshen it up a little bit, update the sounds, the mix and things like that. This whole album, Strangers in the Dark, has been mixed by my boy Shane Lance. Shout out to him. Definitely show him some love if you got a chance. We'll just get started with the drums here. So what I did is I ended up layering 3 different sounds for the snare. So we got a clap and then 2 different snares, and they all just kind of, we mix them together to create one sound. So we play the snare here. So yeah, pretty straightforward here. I really like the crispness of it. It's got a nice little crunch. And then if you look, like I say, talking about that philosophy of mirroring the original sample, and even if you listen to the song, you'll know there's a lot of like breakdowns and drum dropouts and like additional hits and things. So I mirrored that in the verse where, you see kind of in this section, the snare drops out a little bit, then it comes back. There's like different hits, the hi-hats, different patterns and things like that. But that's what we did with this one. So we got the snare, and we got 2 different hi-hats, and we got some open hi-hats, and then that is essentially it. There's really not a lot of sounds for the drums. We'll play you this hi-hat, and then we'll play the second one. So this is the first hi-hat. So like I say, pretty standard hi-hat, just, a little straightforward, messed with the velocity just to make it a little more organic. Like I said, this song has a really like live instrumentation feeling. So I really wanted the drums to also kind of, mesh with that and make it feel like, it made sense. And then we got the other hi-hat here. This one is a little bit more of like the programmed drum machine style hi-hat. I put the velocities pretty decently low on these, again, just to kind of make it at least fit a little better with the live instrumentation. So this is the like drum machine style hi-hat. So that's the second hi-hat here, and then we'll get into some of we got some accents here. So we got a crash cymbal, and we got an open hi-hat. And we'll play you those. And also later in here, we also have like a cymbal crash from like a drum kit, or like a full like drum set that we use to again mirror the original sample. And what I did there, just to again, make it feel realistic, I ended up pitching down and just playing with what key I was playing the sample, just to make it feel like I'm hitting different cymbals, in like a drum set. And then we'll play the kick, and then we just got these claps that I'll play you guys that are in the horn section, and that's basically it for the drums. We'll play you guys the kick. And again, processing just an EQ on that. Shane put the compressor on it. I'm assuming he did. And then, for this kick, the pattern where you again are just matching what the original sample is. I think I took my EQ off of the sample and just really tried to hear when the kick was hitting and, just kind of match that. So that's it for the drums here. We'll play this little clap section we also have during the horns. So, during the breakdown, and again, this is matching what the sample did. The original sample has like some like group claps going in it. So I wanted to match that and again, just kind of update it. So I just matched literally whenever they did it, I put it in the MIDI. So this is the claps here. So yeah, those are the claps. Again, I layered a bunch of them, just got a nice crunch, tried to make it feel big like it was a group clap. And then we also have like I said, the challenge with the drums for this one was just matching how the drums worked in the original song, because there's a lot of breakdowns and hits and accents. So really just doing one drum loop really wouldn't work for this beat. So I had to really do like different hits and really like customize it to the sample. So those are the drums. We'll talk about the bass, and we'll play the first section, and then we'll get the second section. So for the bass, we did the Zay 808, and then we did EQ and distortion, and then we'll play you guys the bass. So if you watched the Deconstructed for the last video, Throw Stones, the last one in the series, I kind of talked about how with that song I ended up using the original bass guitar notes and progression, but we used the 808 sound. So we did something kind of similar here with this beat, but just maybe the difference is it's not the exact same notes, but it's got maybe a little similar rhythm to the original, if I remember correctly. But this pattern is a little bit more predictable, repetitive. It has a lot less like movement going through it. Like I said, the song has a lot of stuff going on in it. So like I said, the hook section for the bass, again, we customized it to how the sample and the song went. So the hook is pretty simple, and as the song goes on, you can see down here at the bottom a lot more changes and like different like little runs and stuff. So again, something I like, having that modern 808 sound, but being able to like have that musicality of a bass guitar is kind of cool. And especially with this sample of having like all the hits and accents and like different things like that. I thought it was really dope. So we'll play you guys this sample all together, and then we'll do the second half. Yeah, so that is the first half of this. Like I said, if you haven't listened to the song, there's a beat change up in the second half. Kind of, I'll talk about this in the dissect, but it's kind of like a love song, and then it switches to like a breakup song in the second half. So moving to the second half here, I was at my friend's house. We were just kind of working on music. He was like, oh, I kind of want to get into it. So we were just working on stuff together, and he helped me come up with the sample chop for the second half. So what I ended up doing is, I don't have the original chops in the project file, but I ended up chopping different sections of the original sample from that song. So this is the same song from Aurora, Yesterday's Love. So I ended up chopping 4 different sections here, and then put halftime on it. So if you look at, so we got EQ on this, and then halftime. And then I also pitch shifted it up 4 semitones. Something with halftime, if you use that plugin, is it does kind of like pitch it down. So I didn't want it to be so low. I kind of wanted it to be like pretty, still up front, but not like high pitched. So I kind of did, to counteract the halftime, I pitched it up, and then we did the halftime, so it kind of sat where I wanted it to. So we got the chop there. I'll play you guys this sample here for the second half. Something I really love about this one, again, it's just got kind of like a little bit of a grimier feeling to it. It's got the, excuse me, you can cut that. It's got a little bit of that grimier feeling. It's got the guitar hit still, and then, the choir vocals sound really cool, like kind of distorted, lower, and then it's got that those hits at the end with the cymbal, really just kind of, got like the nice kind of attack to it. So for this one, this was one of the things that I think took a little longer with this beat, was just the challenge of making the drums work for here. My inclination is to do a lot on the drums, so these drums are like super simple. And again, I think my philosophy that got me to the drums that I finally used was just trying to be following the sample. So if we just played the sample, it really just has a cymbal and a snare. So that's really all we did, was we just did, cymbal and a snare. So I'll play you guys that right now. We ended up layering 2 different ones. So we got a clap with saturation, and we also have like a tambourine type thing just as a little accent on top of it, just to make it a little more interesting. So I'll play you guys that. So that's the snare, and then we also have a crash cymbal here. And again, we're just matching the crash cymbal at the end of the sample. And the final part here for the last section of the song is the bass. So I ended up, again, this is something, since we were messing with the semitones, maybe took a little longer for me to figure out the exact notes. But I ended up using a plugin from Labs with a bass guitar setting with the progression I wanted. and it just didn't sound real enough to me. It didn't sound like it was a real bass guitar. It just kind of sounded a little synthetic. And, you know, this sample has so much, like, soul and, like, you know, real instrumentation. I felt like it needed something to match that. So I ended up hiring somebody to play some bass guitar for me on Fiverr. He did a great job. I used him on another song as well on this album. I forget which one it is. I believe it's Credits Roll. He did the bass on Credits Roll as well, which is the last song on the album. So I told him, you know, I was like, hey, this is my idea for the bass. You know, here's the key. You know, kind of maybe do a couple things. I'm down for whatever you do. So he did one where he did a little bit more stuff. And this is the one that I sent him the idea, and he just kind of cleaned it up a little bit. So that was the section I ended up going with. So I'll play you guys the bass. So that is the bass guitar. We'll play you guys this whole second section here through. Okay guys, that is basically it for this beat. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't listened to this song yet, we got a link in the description right now. Definitely encourage you guys to check that out. I appreciate everyone who listens to my music. It means a lot to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.